Hi, thanks for joining. Today I'm going to be going over some photographs I shot recently in September 2021. The two events that I'll be covering in this video are from the Eucharistic Procession and from the sheep drive across Southwark Bridge. The first photograph I'll be dissecting is this one, which is probably my favorite one from the Eucharistic Procession. A bit of background for this event. This is a procession which visits a few different churches in central London, in the Soho area. What you're looking at in this photograph is one of the incense holders. You can see the incense being carried here. As he steps into frame, I'd framed up with a 35mm lens on a rangefinder camera. This is HP5 for these photographs at the Eucharistic event. I framed up when I saw this guy who's a marshal bending down here with the stick. He got down on his knees because they were bringing out the deity on the left here. And I wanted a figure to be in the center here. So I framed up and waited for this guy to step into frame. What I think works about this image is it's very well balanced. You've got the character on the right here. You've got the characters on the left here. You've got the central figure. You've got the eye movement here and here, which gives a lot of tension in the frame. You've got the star from the pret over here and the star on his chest over here, which is nicely balanced. And I think you've got good figure to ground from this guy's face against this woman's white blazer. You know, if she'd worn a different color top that day, this photograph wouldn't be as effective, I think. You've got the clenched fist here holding the incense holder, and you've got the hand on the chest here, which is quite a peaceful gesture, I think. I like this image because there's strong contrast between the elements where there needs to be. You've got, even though you've got black on black here without the figure to ground, it's still, you know, there's subtleties enough in the gray that it's not lost into shadow. You know, you can still see pretty much what's going on. And then you've got some interesting faces in the crowd. You know, you've got some interesting emotions. You've got some characters here. You've got some well-defined people. So there's enough going on in this frame that I think that, you know, it keeps the eye moving around. You're constantly engaged by what's going on. And I like the tension. I like the kind of submissive gesture on the right here with the kneeling. You've got the kind of dominating, kind of confident gaze from the central figure, but with the peaceful hand on the chest. You know, I think there's a lot that could be projected into this photograph, and I'm glad that I have it. The religious processions and you know, photographs of spiritual proceedings are hopefully going to be part of a long-term project that I'm working on with other members of the collective New Exit group, which I'm quite looking forward to. And I think this image will be fairly well received in print. I don't necessarily think that it will be an effective double page spread because you've got elements that could be lost to the center. But actually, if I were to go straight down the middle, hopefully that'll be maintained. But I'll find out once I do a test print of this on some pages. For context, this is a frame I shot a few moments afterwards. You've got the marshal here, who was the fellow on his knees. He's stood up now. He's got his staff out to prevent crowds from running in. You've got the incense holder here. This is after I took a step back because the procession seemed like it was going to be moving to another spot. So I took a step back, took another frame, and then went with them. One of the other frames that I quite like is this one, which is a simpler image, but it's a woman with her head bound in prayer here. What I quite like about this is that you've got the pattern made by her and her bag, which is left on the floor, which makes kind of a love heart, which is quite nice. And then you've got the kind of grounding pillars either side, which really bring the attention to the center of the frame. Moving on to the next event, this was the sheep drive across Southwark Bridge. This is one of the first photographs I took on the day. You can see I'm standing behind a few other photographers. You've got this guy shooting here. You've got this guy with his camera up here. You've got the sheep in the middle here, and then you've got the free men of the land doing the first procession across. And if you look, you've got I think it's the Lord Mayor here, and you've got the Yorkshire Shepherdess Amanda Owen here. This is a nice frame. You know, you've got the clear layers with the foreground here, the midground of the sheep, and the background of the people, and then the context of the buildings. But I think it's actually quite you know, it's not as clear. It's a bit tonally it's a bit kind of murky. I prefer this photograph, which is a few drives later, so you can see the people here are a different set of characters. I'm much closer to the sheep, which is good. You've got this character on the left here and this character on the right here, which are good kind of balancing elements. You've got the eyes here leading straight to the sheep. You've got the eyes here leading to the sheep. I think this image is much stronger. It's much clearer. There's much less, in the way you feel less like you're peering over lots of people's shoulders, kind of detached from the action. You feel more that you're kind of, you're there's more clarity. You're closer to the proceedings. You've still got a strong foreground, midground, and background, but the foreground is actually, leading your eye into something rather than just being kind of in the foreground. It's an actual person, an actual character. This is quite a simple photograph, kind of a portrait image of some of the sheep behind the bars. And again, this is kind of like a simple editorial photograph, but I prefer the more complex version, which is this one, where you've got this sheep here, who's the foreground, who's squished. You can see the wool coming through the bars here. There's an envy there that he's being forced against the gate by his fellow sheep in the pen. You've got this character here who is minding them. You've got his hand on the gate as he's getting ready to open it. You've got these characters here who have the kind of tricorn hat, which is good kind of contextual, but because they're out of focus, you have to kind of wait to see them, which means the main thing that's striking you first is this sheep with the bars. It's the same idea as that first frame, but there's more complexity. There's more going on to kind of draw your eye around the frame to keep you interested in what's going on. And then this is another photograph from that event, which is the last one I'll be talking about. Again, it's quite a simple one and in the same theme as the sheep being behind the bars. This time it's an onlooker, quite an old lady. You've got the eyes leading you here across the frame, but there's nothing there. It's leading you to something going on outside. So if I remove this image from the context of the documentary story that it's part of, it can be kind of an ambiguous street photograph, but because it's part of the story and would be shown in sequence, I would probably include this photograph with something on the left to actually, bring the reader's eye towards. This is more of an aesthetic photograph. I quite like all of the lines going on, all of the bars, all of the kind of caginess, and then you've got the city in the background, which kind of mirrors the the horizontal lines that I've got going across the frame, and then it's quite nicely divided up by the fencing, which I think is quite a nice pattern. So yeah, thank you for joining. Thank you for listening. Hopefully you got something out of this quite short video. And let me know in the comments if there are any of my photographs that you'd like me to dissect on top of these, and I'll be going over some of my other ones from my from my recent work from my archive, just as a to have a space to discuss them. Thanks for joining again.